Tim, we seem to hear every day some good news out of Iraq in that the troop surge appears to be working. Violence is down, although we had some sad reminders this week that we lost some servicemen both from Minnesota and Wisconsin. So there is still violence happening there, but it has greatly diminished. And here to tell us a first-hand account of what he saw on a recent trip there just a few days ago, Senator Norm Coleman. Thanks for being here.
Always a pleasure, Tom.
This is your fifth trip to Iraq. How did this one differ from your previous? Have you been there before since the surge started?
Yeah, I was there right after Labor Day, and began to see some changes. And actually, I'd been there in April with kind of the beginning of the change, but it's changed substantially. I think it's fair to say that the surge has been one of the most significant military accomplishments, certainly that I can recall in recent history, maybe beyond that. There's been a transformation in terms of the falling number of incidents of IED attacks, the larger number of IEDs that we've found. Petraeus has the data. What it's also done, Tom, it's also kind of unleashed a Sunni, or what they call awakening councils, to the point where Anbar province, which a year ago was intelligence said was gone to Al-Qaeda. Ramadi was to be the new capital of the Al-Qaeda caliphate. In March of this year, we're going to turn security over to Anbar. Americans will not be in the forefront of security for Anbar.
Yeah, that was just announced on Friday that was likely to happen.
So, we have, and just this week, we buried a Minnesota kid, and we had the news of a Wisconsin kid, actually family now in Minnesota, has been killed. So it's still violent. It's difficult. You had some pictures that you may have shown.
Yeah, we're actually going to show those now. And again, these are some
right
Minnesota.
Here, this one right here. I've got there are two kids over there. One's from Big Lake, one's from Prior Lake. I think Peter Town was the name of one of them. Hadasol was the other. Private Town says to me, he says, my friends think I'm fighting the enemy every day. He says, sometimes I feel like I'm more the manager of a construction site. I walked through a town of Ghazali, which was another Al-Qaeda stronghold not too long ago. Trey said he put his head on the desk when he picked up the report first about Ghazali a while ago. I walked through the town, talked to storekeepers, talked to kids. As a former mayor, I'm looking and saying this thing's not going to be rebuilt for a long time, but substantial change. The challenge, I got to say it, is that the Iraqis, Maliki still has not done the kind of reconciliation, the kind of power sharing, hydrocarbon law, de-Baathification that you need to sustain the progress being made by the surge.
And again, though, while it has been working, you say it does appear to be fragile. You'd like to see more political progress. You'd like to see more movement toward the Iraqis taking more.
I do, and Tom, I got to say the Iraqis want to see it too. I met with the leader of the Supreme Islamic Council, flew in from Najaf to meet with him. I met with the head of the Kurdish, the Prime Minister of Kurdistan. I met with the Sunni Vice President. They're frustrated, but the good news is that they're frustrated. And that they're at the table, and they understand that they've been given this unique opportunity. And my hope is that by the end of this year, we're in a secondary position. But the Iraqis have to move forward more aggressively, as I said before, de-Baathification, power sharing. They're bringing in now, by the way, oil at I think pre-war levels, about 2.3 million barrels per day. Figure that out at $100 a barrel. You've been a great mathematician. If they go to 2.5, that's $250 million a day they're bringing in. They're paying now for 2/3 of the cost of their own army. They should be paying for a significant part of the rebuilding. They're in the position to do that. The surge has taken effect militarily. We need to see more aggressive advancement on the political side.
Now, just at a time when things seem to be turning around in Iraq, back here on the domestic front, the economy is now becoming the #1 issue on people's minds. Not that they've forgotten about Iraq by any means, but the economy, a lot of people are worried about it. Unemployment is up. There's the mortgage crisis. There's the credit crisis.
Question of whether we're in recession right now.
There's a question, and we won't know that for months or maybe a year from now, whether or not we are in a recession right now. But how does that bode for Republicans? Because it's a Republican administration, they unfairly or fairly get blamed or credited for the economy.
It's going to bode well if the solution on the other side is to raise taxes. That's the last thing you want to do when you're in a recession. We have to deal with it. We have to deal with it. We have to, and it shouldn't be just a Republican or Democrat thing. I'm so fascinated listening to the presidential debate now. They're echoing a mantra that I had as mayor of St. Paul for about 8 years, bringing people together to get things done. I think it was a campaign phrase of mine a while ago, and we hear it all the time. We have challenges with the economy, but the answer is not to raise taxes. The answer are not to put in place measures that prevent folks from getting mortgages down the road. We need to be aggressive on doing those things, get the FHA more involved, more secure mortgages. There is talk, by the way, of a rebate. I'm not a rebate guy. I got to say that up front. I don't think that has long-term impact. But we have to understand that the economy is in deep trouble. People are deeply concerned. Government's going to take some action, but let's not take action that makes it worse. And I think that's the challenge. We'll do the right thing. The President will address it in the State of the Union. Hopefully we can find a bipartisan way to somehow ensure, and you'll see the Federal Reserve, I think you're going to see significant rate cuts. As you do that, you got to watch about inflation. So it's a careful process. We've got to react in a way which furthers economic growth, not restrains it.
Now, as you head into your re-election battle, we're in 2008. We're finally in the election year. It seems like you've probably been running for re-election for about 3 years
and yet
now.
It's still a while away. I got to tell you, though, I really don't think people are excited about attack ads and negative commercials or taking shots at anybody. We could be typically away till after Labor Day. We have the people, we go to our cabins, we have the state fair, and then we come home, get our kids to school, and focus on politics. And now it's in January, and we got TV commercials.
Yeah, and
not mine.
And it's actually been going on for months. But you know, the Washington Post recently did an interesting study about how members of Congress vote in relation to their party positions and the president's positions. In your first couple of years in office, you were voting about 94% with Republicans and with the president. Now that's down to about 77%. Democrats say you're starting to become more moderate solely to set yourself up for
re-election. I'll give you two observations. In that same year, Congressional Quarterly, the first year in office, with high voting rate, had me as the I think 6th or 8th most independent Republican, which I still am today. Almost all the quote independent, more moderate, cold weather Republicans, by the way, Susan Collins, all inspector, by the way, even Dick Lugar. Every one of us has about a 20-point difference from where we were then till now. One of the reasons, Tom, is that we're voting on things now that we didn't vote on because there's a Democrat majority. And I'm going to vote for LIHEAP, and I'm going to vote for Head Start, and I'm going to vote for things that I didn't vote on before. But there isn't a single position that the other side would highlight that I took in '04 that somehow I'm now backing away. It's a different position today.
But are you now trying to distance yourself from President Bush and his 35% approval rating?
No, I'm voting for what's in front. As I said, I was the 8th most independent 2000, my first year in office. I'm about the 6th or the 8th now. A couple folks who are more, are gone. But the bottom line is you vote for the things that are important to you. So I support the president on judicial nominations. Absolutely support him. And I think having Alito in the Supreme Court, important. This is good stuff, good votes. On the other hand, I'll disagree with them on disaster assistance for our farmers, and I'll disagree with him on cutting CDBG funding. And so in the end, it's the things you vote on. The things you vote on, not a matter of where you're going to separate or before. If the president was with me when we got $250 million, by the way, now $373 million to rebuild the bridge, that's a great thing. But if he's going to veto the farm bill, I'll disagree with him.
Okay, well, you don't have any campaign ads coming out yet, but when you do, we'll have you back to talk about it. And I got to bone up on my acronyms because I'm not sure about a couple of those things you just threw out.
So. Community development, block
there we go. I know you know them. I've got to study, so I know what they are.
I got to watch the acronyms. Thanks.
Senator Coleman, I appreciate your being here.